So this is a really big miss for Mattel. This was a really cool dinosaur, its first introduction into the series and its first introduction into the toy line, and it really should have deserved to be done a lot better. So I hope this isn't Mattel's one-trick pony Giganotosaurus. I really hope we're getting another one sooner or later, or they have the Hammond collection about to be announced.
Hello YouTube, it is Toy Adventures here again with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at a brand new Hammond collection. Today we're taking a look at the Hammond collection Giganotosaurus. Yep, it's here. I remember back in my original Giganotosaurus toy review how I was slam dunking this toy, or that toy, how horrible and terrible and poorly designed it was, how badly the Giganotosaurus got treated. And ever since then, there has been nothing Giga from Mattel, period. No reattempts, no epic attacks, no dual attacks, no nothing. They tried it once for Dominion, it was terrible, and they never did the dinosaur again. Until now. They went straight from the worst toy possible to the best option possible, being Hammond collection. I even said in that video, you know, maybe they can do a reattempt, or maybe they could just go straight for the Hammond collection. And they went straight for the Hammond collection. It took a while, but I'm actually happy about that. They waited until they really kind of refined the Hammond collection's features and sculpt and paintwork until they released it. This makes me even more excited for Spinosaurus, because they might even improve even more before they eventually release us a Spinosaurus in this line. So, I'm really happy with Mattel for bringing this dinosaur in. It was a brand new one, not a super popular dinosaur in the toy line or in the series, but I'm very happy they did it. It's another large carnivore that we needed, and well, I'm just happy to get another large carnivore, because it was one that was really mistreated by the toy line, and now has had a huge bounce back. So, anyway, let's take a look at the box itself for this thing. It is pretty standard, very similar to the Tyrannosaurus Rex box, only now it has the newer Hammond collection style, where it has a large render of the dinosaur right there on the front, instead of just having the logo saying Jurassic World. It says Gigantosaurus, Hammond collection. Taking a look here at the side, you get a nice render of the actual figure itself, and it says Jurassic World Dominion underneath. Look at the other side, just says Hammond collection. And take a look here at the back, you can see it's showing off the golden glass eye, which is really miss and sometimes hit. You get a nice view of it posing, which is really cool. You have the others in the line, which is Claire and Velociraptor Delta. They were just announced. It is the Fallen Kingdom Claire, interestingly enough. I really would have preferred the Jurassic World Claire, but I completely understand why they picked a more action-oriented figure for the Hammond collection. Still, it makes me hope for at least a Legacy collection classic Jurassic World Claire. We also get the Pyroraptor coming, don't know when that's going to be released, and the Therizinosaurus, which I already have, that'll be reviewed tomorrow. Now, taking a look at the actual figure here, you can see that it is a very nice embossed render with some crazy sculpting going on. It makes me really excited to open this thing up and see what it's like. We do have a little read up right here. Carnivores collide when the Giganotosaurus takes on the Tyrannosaurus Rex in a desert battle, and the Giganotosaurus emerges victorious. However, 65 million years, this epic rivalry comes to a head in Biosyn Valley, this time with a different outcome. Yeah. They like to say, oh, the Rex got its revenge. No, the Rex got saved by Therizinosaurus. All these movie directors for Jurassic World disrespect, poop on, and just go to town on Rexy. It's really embarrassing. I mean, all those directors are kind of embarrassing. The Giganotosaurus itself was hyped up as this new dangerous predator, and it didn't do anything the whole movie, and then got farted on by three other dinosaurs. Way to go. That was a crazy movie. Yeah, no, Dominion was a real stinker. Fallen Kingdom was a real stinker. But the toys that came from it were good, and that is the real important part, at least for us. The toys were good. Movies may have been garbage, the toys were good. The Giganotosaurus may have been a nobody in that movie, but its figure looks pretty cool. Not accurate for Giga, but it's still pretty cool. So anyway, up here at the top of the box, there's really nothing going on. Same as all the other large Hammond collection boxes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and free this asset from containment. So here is the big girl out of the box, and man, is she hard to get all in frame. This is one huge figure, and we will compare to the Rex in a bit, and of course it's old Hammond collection in a bit, but there's some things I want to go over first, mainly the sculpt work in the paint. But there are some cool different little design aspects that I wanted to know. One is, man, that tail is serious. Look how long his tail is. And the majority of it is rubber, so it's actually pretty heavy. It kind of weighs the front half of the figure down just a bit, but if you position the legs just right, you can kind of counteract it. But it is noticeable, as you can see. It is kind of tough to get it to stand up in certain angles, just because the tail is so heavy that it really wants to drag a lot of the figure backwards. So you're gonna have to position the feet accordingly. This might do better on a slanted surface, but yeah, just know that the tail, this figure is gonna be pretty back heavy. Other than that, it is a wonderful silhouette. Again, my only gripe so far is how back heavy it is. Look at this, I just wanna get a nice pose of it kind of leaning over, which means the weight should be directed to the front of the figure. What they should have done is either not make the tail rubber or put some weight in the front of the body to counteract the tail. Funny enough, the tail in actual dinosaur anatomy is to counteract the weight from the front of the body. But now the weight is in the back of the body, which is not what you want with a giant tail sticking out the back, because that just drags them down. So it is kind of funny that the tail on this toy is actually doing the opposite of what a tail is supposed to do, which is counteract weight from the front. So it's a little tough to get him to stand. I'm going to assume that if you position the tail in a certain way, you can get it counteracted enough to where he can stand it. And it's all in the feet too. You really have to pay attention to your feet placement. That will also help distribute the weight effectively enough to where it's not going to just go on its butt. So, couple issues with the balancing, a couple minor issues, but they come from just how nicely the figure looks. Instead of it being super not well designed, they sacrificed maybe stability for the look of the figure, keeping the tail proportionate, long, posable, and it's not like it's the end of the world. It doesn't prevent the figure from standing at all. And it just offers a new, unique challenge when it comes to posing it. And a challenge that can be overcome with posing. So it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of a negative. The only solution I could think for them is to maybe put a weight in the front of the body to counteract, like I said, the weight in the back, so the figure is more equal when posing, because although a lot of bulkiness is up here in the front, it doesn't quite add up to the weight of the heavy tail and the plastic part of the tail in the back. Not entirely sometimes. It is pretty heavy up here, but I don't know if it's completely enough to always perfectly counteract the tail. Sometimes, like you saw earlier, the tail's gonna be heavier and just bring the figure down. Even if you have a pose where you think the dinosaur is lurched forward enough to counteract the tail, it's all about placing the feet, the ankles, and your thighs, making sure they're spread apart. You get a lot of traction and grip on the ground. But at least it's not an issue of the feet don't articulate good enough. The thighs are, or the legs aren't positioned correctly, which is what it's been for a lot of other dinosaurs, and you can't fix that. You just have to pose, or you just have to like balance it basically. This you can fix, you can overcome. It's not a hard issue. And that moves on to the legs. With the Tyrannosaur legs, they were kind of just articulated, but this, they went for a much more rigid, ratcheted design. And while that doesn't let you stop it anywhere, I love this choice because these are so firm and they're not going to slide down over time like the Rex does. The Rex, if you pose it up like this, it's slowly over time gonna lean down and go down to like this, unless you really spread the legs apart and create a lot of friction. With this, these ratcheted thighs, which I honestly think they should have just done from the beginning. It locks into a certain place just enough to hold the figure, but you can still move it from that spot. I love ratcheted thigh joints on dinosaurs because they really encourage stability. And on this one, it's no different. This dinosaur you can pose in any pose and it's not going to get weak over time. It's just going to stay how it is because that's how ratcheted thighs are. I'm really glad we're in this era and they've made this design choice, and assumingly it's going to be permanent from here on out, and we'll get a Spino with ratcheted hips. So very, very, very cool. Now we're going to take a look at sculpt and paintwork because this thing has really impressed me. It's no movie maquette, but it's actually a huge step up from even the Carnotaurus. I think this might be the best looking paint-wise in the Mattel line, and we're about to go over.
I have to go freehand camera mode. First, we're going to take a look at that glass eye. It is a hit or miss. It's kind of a miss on this figure, but it's been a miss on all of them. It's not the greatest, but it's certainly not the worst. I would give that to the Dimetrodon or even maybe Blue. But it's nothing crazy looking, as you can see here. It just looks like an alien eye on camera. You really got to have it perfect for it to actually do its intended function. That one looks pretty good, actually. That one looks really good. I have to hold the camera with my hand to get this in-depth detail look. So, the sculpt work on this thing is phenomenal. All you can see right there, the teeth are the new style teeth, but they're not all just gummy molded together. These are all individual molded teeth. And you can't really tell because my camera's kind of washing it out, but they do actually have a brown dry brushing on them to mimic tartar and plaque buildup. Looks really, really nice and realistic. I love the teeth on this thing. They really knocked it out of the park. Here's a good look inside of the mouth. The tongue no longer locks up in the middle like the Hammond Collection Rex, or it does, but it doesn't lock there. You can obviously move it down like the Hammond Collection Rex did. Just a lot of quality of life improvements. They've kind of gotten rid of their experimental side and added in more, just added a lot of quality of life changes that were just like dweeb on the first release, but didn't get added anyway. Sculpt work on the face is really nice. You can see there's tons of little details put in there. Each individual scale is represented. Repainting this thing is going to be so much fun. I have ideas for this thing. I will probably have at least 2 more of these. I don't want to say yet. Obviously, I'm going to have one that's kind of movie accurate. And then I'm going to have one that's based on a design from Evolution. I won't say what. And then I have another top secret idea that's going to require a lot of just butchering this thing. But I can't tell what, because I don't want to get your guys' hopes up, A, in case I screw it up. B, I do want it to be a surprise. I think it's going to be a fun one, especially for you OG Jurassic fans. So anyway, moving down here, we have all the osteoderm that the dinosaur is known for. I'm not too big of a fan of these just because of a design aspect. It's not anything with the toy. The toy replicates them quite nicely. So I'm actually going to count that as a positive. It's a negative with me with the actual dinosaur design. It's just not accurate to Giga. Moving down into the body, man, look at this sculpting and pebbling work. It is so intricate, very nice, very well defined, and you can really tell that they're upping their game here. This looks so crocodilian, so reptilian. It's just so defined. Usually their sculpted work with the scales is pretty shallow, just enough to give you the idea that it's a scale dinosaur, but here, this almost feels like monster arts or something. Just incredible sculpt work. If only their sculpt work matched their paint work, or their paint work matched their sculpting work, this would be truly like a movie maquette or NECA or Hot Toys or something level. Because the sculpt work on this thing is phenomenal. Just look here at this thigh. So well defined. Repainters are going to have a field day with this. I don't know how a little bit of like green paint got on there on the thigh, but ignore that. And that brings me on to the paint for this thing. Not only is its sculpt work really good, which we saw that on the Carnotaurus, they're getting crazy good at sculpting. Can't wait to see the Thera tomorrow. But the paint is really nice.
Now, this is the standard kind of green with darker green stripes that we've come to expect from the Giganotosaurus. It doesn't have the white stripe outline like it did in the movie. That is kind of a bummer, but it does have this really nice brown dry brushing put throughout, and it's not printed on. I don't know if any of this paint is actually printed on. I think this whole figure might actually be painted. I can't tell on this one. But I know for sure the brown is dry brushed on there. It has to be. It just looks too good. You get some really nice mixed in right here. Up here on the top of the osteoderms, you get some mixed into the face. It's a little too strong here in the tail. It's a little too strong there on the tail. You can see it compared. Where these just kind of give it a brown here. That's just straight up like rust right there. So a little sloppy on the tail, but I could totally get that. That happens to me all the time. Really nicely down here on the belly. You can see it much better from certain angles. Very nice. I love that they're adding dry brushing to these dinosaurs. It just really makes their sculpt pop. Here you can see more of it. It's not so great. You can't really see it so great on the light, but it's so much better in person when you can actually tell. Although one little nitpick I have is that since they did it here on the body, it looks a little naked on the neck to the head. It looks good on the head, obviously, because they do it there, but pretty much from right here to right here, it's a little bare, and it is noticeable because this side's done up so much, and it's just nothing. And then, of course, on this side, they did overdo it once again, so it looks like they didn't learn their lesson. Anyway, that is the paint and sculpt work of this thing. It is phenomenal. They really improved their game, and now let's get on to its articulation. Alright, so articulation. How does this Giga articulate? Well, quite damn nicely. Obviously, the head is on a hinge. It is those kind of hinges where the jaw or the skull itself will actually articulate, which is strange. It should just be the bottom jaw. But that's just so you can really get those crazy roaring poses, you know. So it's alright. I'm not going to complain about an articulation joint being there that shouldn't be. It's just a little funny. Your skull doesn't move up, your jaw moves. I mean, your skull doesn't move up, your jaw moves up, you know? So it should just be the jaw hinging up into the mouth, instead of the mouth also opening up. Anyway, you also get an articulation joint right here where the neck meets the neck. And it's a little bit of a limited motion. Again, none of these joints do anything crazy. You do get pretty fair range of motion from that joint alone. Moving down here to the base of the neck, you get just a little bit more. Pretty much the same amount of movement on its own. And those come together to offer pretty good movement. Can't look crazy side to side, but just enough that you can tell he's looking left or right. So that's pretty good. Could look down, pretty all right. Can look up, not at all. You can only look straight because of those damn osteoderms. You might have to do something about those, one of my customers. Just one hint. Anyway, moving down to the arms, you get a nice hinge right here in the shoulder. It hinges out just above a 90-degree angle. And you get a hinge and rotation down here at the elbow. You also get a rotation here at the shoulder, obviously. Not quite 360, but you do get a nice rotation. And in the wrist as well, you get a hinge and rotation there at the wrist. So overall, a pretty nicely articulated arm. Mattel, if you're watching this, a suggestion for your future Indominus in this collection, maybe have an articulated thumb or hand bit, just a little bit of articulation in the hand so we can grab. That's my idea. The Indominus is known for grabbing prey as well as snatching it with its mouth. So maybe add in a little bit of a thumb gimmick or something that it can actually hold action figures. I think that would be a really neat addition into a Hammond collection Indominus. Just a thought, a free little thought for you to use. Alright, because if you use my idea, I obviously benefit from it because I'm going to get the action figure and I'm going to enjoy it. So, moving down here to the thigh, you obviously get the full rotation while it does hinge, like I said earlier, so now you can see. Even though it ratchets into place, you still get full, complete degree of movement. Hinge and rotation here at the knee. This is another troubled spot for these dinosaurs, these big dinosaurs, so let's hope that this holds. But you'll notice that there's no mid-body articulation like there was in the Rex. I guess they figured there's just no way to engineer it without it becoming loose over time. I disagree. I think they could have maybe done a ratcheted system like they did with the legs. Something just to keep the articulation in there. Then again, that joint really didn't do too much for the articulation overall. Just helped it turn better. So it's not the end of the world that it's gone, but I would prefer that they brought it back for the spino. Well, not the spino. The spino has a spine that's gonna mess with. But the Indom, I definitely think they should bring it back. If they do a Buck or maybe a T-Rex 2.0, bring it back. Moving down here to the would this be the ankle? No, because this is the ankle. More of the foot, the shin, I guess. You get a hinge and rotation. It's really stiff on mine because it's brand new and I don't want to loosen it up, obviously, so we're going to do it pretty quick. The feet. Look at these. No more clown feet. Very, very nice. These are actually proportionate feet. And what do you know? The figure stands perfectly well. I understand why they had to start with the big feet. They never made dinosaur toys like this before. They didn't know what they were doing. They needed to have those training wheels on. But now they know what they're doing. They know how to ride a bike. The training wheels are off. And now we can actually get well-designed feet that are proportionate and still do their job just as good. In fact, a lot of those early figures with the big feet are the figures that can't stand because though the feet would be big, they would screw up the legs or screw up the hip placement. And it wouldn't stand because of that. So it was never the feet. I think it was just them getting their grip on how to make dinosaurs stand and balance. And now that they have that grip, they're like, okay, that is over. All dinosaurs from now on are gonna look correct. We know how to get their legs stiff enough to where they can stand. We know how to pose their legs and feet to the point where they're gonna stand on the most surfaces very sturdily without wobbling, tipping over, or whatnot. I feel like Mattel has really gotten their stride in. And now they know what they're doing. So, for the final part of this review, I can't even keep the whole girl in screen. She is so big. We're gonna go ahead and go on to size comparisons. Mainly just humans, vehicles, and the Rex. Those are the important ones so we can show a true evolution of the family collection. So here we have our two foes next to each other. This gives you kind of a good idea of their sizes next to each other. We put them directly facing one another. And as you can see, the Rex's mid-body joint, like I mentioned, is not good at holding it up. But here is a good face-to-face. You can see the Giga, while it should be bigger, it's actually not too much bigger. It's really its spine that kind of carries it, which shouldn't be that way. But there are mainly a lot of design improves. The Giga is so much more substantial. It's heavier. It has more mass to it. It's overall a higher quality. Whereas this Rex is a lot lighter. It just feels completely hollow and plasticky. Not too much going on. The feet size, let's go ahead and compare those. You can see right there that it is significantly different. I mean, that is crazy. Night and day. It almost looks like a Marco Makes replacement foot. Very, very nicely done. And the Rex had these articulated knees. I don't know how they compare to these more ratchet and rotation style knees. Will one be better than the other? I feel like I like these ones better just because they look a little more seamless. This does look a little more toyish, so I do prefer the original, the Rex's knees. Although I don't remember having any issues with them holding their pose. It was mainly the mid-body joint and the thighs and the ankles that were really failing. So I feel like they should have kept this knee style just because it keeps the shape and the look of the leg, where this kind of looks like an action figure where it cuts off. And the rubber neck section, they did away with it, pretty sure, unless this is all just really stiff rubber. I think it's all plastic though. And that's pretty much it. Many of the differences are, of course, an improved sculpt. This Rexy does kind of have a bit of a shallow sculpt. It's still really nice, but not nearly as defined as the Giga. The feet, obviously, are a big improvement. Stability Sturdiness, construction, they've all improved drastically. The teeth, obviously, I mean, look, here's what I meant. When you open the mouth like this, the tongue, well, I guess you can push the tongue down. I guess I was thinking of the Extreme Chompin' Rex where it was stuck in place. But I guess with the Hammond collection, you can also push the tongue down. So I gotta take that complaint back. That is nice. I'm really happy with that. Guess that's always been a feature, but the teeth is really what I wanted to talk about. The teeth are what the biggest improvement for me is in these new Hammond collection figures, because before, not only were the teeth super gummy, they were a part of the whole skull. They weren't a separate piece glued in to keep a more defined and separate look like they are with the newer Hammond collections like the Carno and the Giga. As you can see, these teeth are a separate piece glued into the top of the jaw and the skull to give a much more separate, defined, and well, obviously a cleaner paint profile, because it doesn't need paint. It just needs to be put in where it needs to be put in, like a model kit, and it'll look even better than paint because it's a little bit more separated from the rest of the scope. So a big improvement with the teeth. Again, the glass eye has always been kind of hit or miss. In fact, I think overall, in general, the Rexes typically have the better glass eye. Sorry, I thought this one was cracked. I was kind of looking at it. Glass eye is a little messed up, but that's just because the Rex's eye is very big. The Giganotosaurus kind of has this tiny little squinty eye. So, and what we've seen with like the Metrodon and Blue, with those tiny squinty eyes, the glass eye effect is significantly hampered. So I think they should have either given this thing a big eye, or I know they really don't want to, but abandon the glass eye gimmick. It's just not working in every case. And it's gonna work more with the Giganotosaurus we cover tomorrow, but with this one, the eye's just too beady. It's just not working. It needs to be painted for full effect. That is just my opinion, and it's the opinion of a lot of other people. The glass eye is a cool gimmick when it's done right, but a lot of these recent figures haven't had it done right at all. They feel like they're just riding on this gimmick. It needs to be put to sleep, or at least only applied where it really works and they themselves can admit, okay, this is heat, it's not gonna look bad from any angle. Otherwise, it's just lame. I mean, look at the Buck T-Rex. There is no angle on the original Lost World Kenner Buck T-Rex with its glass eye. There is no angle that it looks goofy or garish or incorrect. It looks good from every angle because it is a glass eye with something solid in the back, a nice big black dot with a big eye that is easy to see from every angle. This one, it's very beady. I don't know how they got the eye effect in there. I think they did put it on the bottom, but I just don't like it. I mean, from this angle, from the back, you can't see it. It just looks like a gold nothingness. It's just not done as well. Anyway, comparing it to the humans. Here we have a truck. This is the Biosyn truck. Thought it was a little bit more fitting that it went up against something Biosyn. And here we have a random Biosyn mercenary. So, this guy is pretty big and can easily munch on some workers. How is its teeth dip? This is another thing I kind of complain about in my movies. Not bad, but not excellent. It can hold the figure up, thrash them around and lift them up. So they are getting better. What I mean is, a lot of these Jurassic World dinosaurs, they eat people. That's what they're known for in the movies. But a lot of these figures, they don't have the grip strength in their jaw to put a figure in there and then lift it up. The figure will just fall out because the mouth doesn't stay together good enough. Anything in there will hold it open, and so the figure will just drop out. There's no friction holding it. This one does a pretty good job of holding it firm and holding the friction, so the figure does not fall out. Anyway, guys, that is all I have to say about this big, beautiful addition to the Hammond collection line. I'm gonna have to rate this thing a 9 out of 10, a very high 9 out of 10. Not quite absolute perfection, but a damn fine addition to the Hammond collection line. Oh, wait. Damn fine improvement over what we had originally. Look at this comparison. not night and day. I don't know what it is. This is what they tried to get away with giving us before. This is what we have deserved this whole time. It is night and day, folks, and patience truly is a virtue. And it truly pays off. Because I said in this review, man, I hope they do a Hammond collection, and I hope they do it soon, because this was not it. And it wasn't it. And we did get a Hammond collection. But not soon. It took a while, but we still got it. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. This has been a Toy Adventures review. Stay tuned for tomorrow's review. It will be on the Therizinosaurus. Next toy movie, I believe, will actually be Godzilla. Now, we're finally getting back to Rise of a God with its sequel series. So stay tuned for that. I finally got in the mood, gotten everything set up to finally get back to Godzilla movies. So that'll be the next one. After that will probably be another Operation Rebirth. Then, Project Guardian. Well, there'll be a new arc coming soon with a new rival. I think you guys all catch my drift. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started on those projects. You guys, thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next review. Any tomorrow. Peace!